Hello, everyone. This is Toontastic, ready to give you my second book review, The Wild Robot. So be aware of spoilers if you haven't read the book yet, which I recommend you do because it starts off slow, but it sucks you in easily. The book is the first in a trilogy written by Peter Brown. It's a New York Times bestseller, and it's getting a movie by DreamWorks later this year. A Wild Robot is about a robot named Rosum Unit 7134, or Roz, after her shipment was destroyed by a hurricane, leaving her on a wild island where she must learn from the animals as she wishes to survive. The book is cute, but it does show the ugliness of the wild and nature too, as some of the animals die in the book. If not eaten, they get frozen in the winter, like frozen solid. So it shows both the beauty, the innocence, but also the reality of the world. This ain't your run of the mill Disney-esque movie. This is no Bambi. Expect some pretty sad scenes. It's not too disturbing, like you're not going to see animals get ripped apart by predators. This book has been read to younger grades in school. It even has a few illustrations. It's got some illustrations in it, but looks very neat. It's kind of like a Hatchet, and if you see it, it's kind of like a less tense version of Hatchet, which is another good book that I suggest you read. Roz, you see, she has to survive in the wild. It starts out with her being shiny and new and barely surviving in the woods. But she gets mauled by bears, Nettle and Thorn. That's the bear cub names. And it's not as intense as the Revenant, but bear mauling scene, but it's pretty tense for a children's novel, which I think is pretty good. Shows you that not animals are not your best friend in the wild, but it's pretty interesting. The book does not have much dialogue as there aren't any humans on the island, just wilderness. But Roz studies the animals, and she pretty much learns how they speak, and the animals pretty much have the speaking roles. She learns their language, and the animals pretty much have speaking roles because she learns how they speak. There's a good cast of characters. There's a Mr. and Mrs. Beaver, Pinktail the opossum, Fink the fox, and so on and so on. But the two most important characters are Roz and her gosling son, Brightbill. Now, how did she adopt a gosling? Well, there was an accident in the storm when she accidentally knocks down some rocks and crushes the parents and most of the eggs except one. And she pretty much decides to raise the gosling. She calls him Bright Bill, and who is pretty much the second main character and has tons of good scenes like bouncing between him and his mother, Roz. Lots of heartwarming moments as he tries to figure out that what Roz is. He even despite not being his birth parent, he still sees her as his mother. And there are some sad moments like when he has to migrate and Roz can't fly. He does come back though. And as for an antagonist, there isn't really a bad guy in the book. The closest thing is probably Thorn and Nettle, the two bears that attack Ross near the beginning of the book. And but they do get redeemed to become Ross's friend, as well as most of the animals become her friends and become very loyal to her. But a good antagonist for the book was um, the three Rico units. Their robots sent to retrieve the Rosum units. And with Ros being the only surviving unit, they tried to deactivate her, seeing her as defective, as she's been hanging around in the wilderness with these animals and not on a work site for humans. And the book, it has a pretty bittersweet note There are other two books in this series. It's a trilogy, and I may look at it later on as well. And but on September 27th, 2024 is when the movie comes out, and I'll maybe do a review for it, see if it's any different from the book, if it's a good movie, and it looks pretty good. It's from the same people who made How to Train Your Dragon. I love those movies. And I hope it does good. I hope it does the book justice. I don't know. It'll just be based off the first book or the trilogy. I don't know. Anyways, that's all for now. I hope you read this book. It's got short chapters. I read it. The chapters in 30-minute segments. It's pretty thick. It's got around. The story is around. Let me see. The story is around 269 pages. So it's not that big. The chapters are short and sweet, and you can break it up into segments. And pretty much I give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good book. It's pretty cute. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.